Hello, this is Sharyn, voice of a moderate. Yesterday at the Cato Institute, I asked a question about the 702 data collection and journalists. I asked it to Senator Wyden and Senator Rand Paul, who were at a forum about the bill that they're working on, and hopefully they're really going to restrict or cancel the 702. Now, the reason why I say this is because I believe that it breaks a constitutional right, and I also believe it could break another one, and it affects freedom of the press. I say this because my data was illegally collected, and I was geo-tracked by our government. I am a blogger who exposed corruption, and what happened to me was interesting because I had people on the inside that needed to get information out. During the Obama administration, I was told I had permission to become the DOD whistleblower. There were issues that needed to be addressed that were not getting addressed for many reasons. There was a clique inside the community, and they were trying to get some proper spending going with defense issues. And what happened was the mainstream media would not report a lot of the corruption, fraud, cronyism that was going around. And so people frustrated that taxpayer money wasn't being used for our troops, for PTSD, for issues that were really urgent, that were getting ignored. And one reason why Eric Cantor lost was because he actually cut funding for PTSD research in 2012. And then he was targeted by an underground that was connected to Colin Powell's people, some progressives, and also the Tea Party. And I don't even think Dave Bratt knew that he had a massive army that helped propel him to that congressional seat. You see, we need to change government to make government effective. And all I was a journalist, a blogger for people that wanted to do good things. Now, the Trump administration has not asked me to continue because what I did basically is people gave me information, I got it, and then I immediately blogged it. And people were able to track that my information was credible because they knew what web searches I was doing. I was highly monitored. I mean, monitored to the point that I felt like I lived on the Truman Show. But what was really scary so they would know that when I put something on a blog, that it came from a source, and people knew that I had good sources. And then it would get that issue because it was on my blog. It would get on an agenda. So then somebody at the Pentagon or somebody in a different agency would say, well, we need to talk about this threat of hacking on airplanes. That was one of my issues. Another issue was Michael Hastings being killed in an auto cyber crash. And what happened was that one got some really good momentum, and CBS actually picked up that blog post. And then they actually they changed auto technology because everything was like integrated, and a journalist was actually killed. Okay, and they, OnStar. It was not OnStar that did it to him, but see, that OnStar technology, you could be driving and that OnStar person could cut up your car and you'd be dead. And after I did that blog post, and after it got credibility when CBS picked it up and some intelligence sources verified, systems like OnStar stopped. And that was a scary time for me. That was very scary. But what happened with my journalism, and I knew that people wanted to know that my stories were based on something that I was told through these channels. So that's why my web searches were monitored, because they didn't want me to search something on the web and then write a story. I never did that. Sometimes I would write a story, and my stories were poorly written. I'm dyslexic. Okay, I'm a journalist because I expose things, but I'm not a grammarian writer. Okay, Google the word journalist. A journalist is somebody that gives news that matters to a society, and that's me. So, but anyways, what I'm trying to say is that while I was doing this during the Obama administration, because there were people, the Obama administration was having an internal battle of control, not as bad as the Trump internal battle of control. Now that one's gone public. But during the Obama administration, I was given issues that people in the government, and these were very important issues, but other people in the government used their agencies to illegally geotrack me. I was at a pizza place in Arlington, Virginia, and a big black Mercedes pulled up, tinted windows, and a Hillary Clinton logistics person came and talked to me for 3 hours and offered me a job. And I said no, and I replied the no, and I CC'd the FBI because I felt violated, and I learned that it was a government agency that gave them that data. Also, Loretta Lynch, after President Trump won, I had sent a tweet out saying that I was happy that the new incoming DOJ was going to take up some of the corruption issues that I had blogged about. And a few hours later, I'm at Costco, and I was wandering around Costco, and I was looking at the clothes, and then I was headed to where they had the appliances, and then when I came out, there's Loretta Lynch. And then Loretta Lynch circled me twice at Costco. And I found out that she wanted me to have a spontaneous impromptu meeting. And I tweeted a picture of me with Loretta Lynch, and I texted a friend, and I just walked away. I did not want to meet with Loretta Lynch, who is the outgoing Attorney General, and my sources would have had no credibility if there was a picture of me talking to Loretta Lynch. And I felt violated. I felt, and it's all on Twitter. It's just creepy. So I believe that journalists, when it comes to 702 collection, because it hurts our sources. And I think that the freedom of the press has already been violated. I think that a lot of the press is already compromised. But I think that this 702 collection has been used to muzzle journalists. And I really believe that. And I can tell you stories. I am the person that exposed that lithium, the plane that went down in Malaysia. It had 4 times the cargo of lithium batteries. Okay, so because it had all these batteries, 4 times the cargo, I was contacted and told that it was the Malaysian government that basically was in charge of loading the airplane. It was a Malaysian airline. Luckily, I don't think there were that many or like no Americans on that plane. But that plane that went down and that was missing, that we spent a fortune trying to find, it went down because of all the lithium batteries that were in the cargo. And a spark, see, what happened is Boeing knew that the TW-800, that was not done by a spark because there was no cargo that was combustible. But see, because of the Malaysian airplane, okay, the Malaysian airplane had combusted the cargo that was explosive. And right after I blogged that, within a few weeks, you couldn't take batteries in your suitcase. And I was told that my blog set off this amazing dialogue, and they were able to make sure that that would not happen again. And I'm very proud of that. But my type of journalism was done through, my sources communicated me through dead drops. It was the thing that we learned in the 80s. It's a Cold War thing. And the way the technology is and the way that the government is, and you can't really trust people because there's this infighting in this clique. I've had to use 80s techniques to get my information. And then sometimes I've gotten information from other people, and I had a person email me all the names of the pilots that were involved with the torture flights. And after that, I mean, it was horrible. I got hacked. I lost pictures of my kid. I mean, technology is a scary thing, and I won't even answer a phone call unless I know who's calling me. So I have a lot of issues with technology, but I wanted to explain why I asked that question yesterday to both Senator Paul and Senator Wyden. It's because I'm a journalist, and I was targeted, and technology was used. And right now I'm investigating blockchain because I think blockchain is going to be the key to resolving this problem. But I know that I'm rambling, but I want the people at Cato to know that you guys are on the right track. And Access Now is the other people that I really appreciate their digital advocacy. The problem with them is they're very liberal. And we need a bipartisan group, and I believe Cato can be it, a bipartisan conference to deal with this problem. Because Access Now, they offer the Google, the Facebook, they have all the resources, but they have a progressive agenda. And I will go to RightsCon every year because it's very valuable, but we need to focus not on all the progressive issues and digital security and digital rights and digital privacy. We need a group or an organization, a think tank, that's going to take digital privacy and just make it about that, because it's a non-partisan issue. And what Cato did yesterday was give me hope, because if we can get both parties to understand, good things can happen. So I've got a lot more examples of how my journalism, I was able to avoid the technical monitoring, but because of my blogging and my stories and me coming out with news stories, what happened was I was illegally monitored by my own government, and I believe other journalists have had the same fear that I've had. So I would like that addressed. And the other thing, this is kind of funny, people then started using me, and there was a conference on the Middle East, and a person from the CIA came up to me and they said, we need you to ask this question. See, I just asked a question about Turkey and the German tourist, and that, Germany was helping indirectly ISIS by funding the Turkish economy, because with the Turkish economy doing well, the president was popular, and this president had somewhat of an anti-American agenda. And so a person from the CIA said, could you please ask about the warrant issue for the arrest of Clapper, Votel, and Dunford? And I said, because it was a CIA person, I said, I really need to verify that. So I actually Googled. So if anyone, the government monitoring my Google searches, they know that I Googled it. And of course, because I'd already asked a question about the German thing, I didn't get to ask another question at this conference. There were about 800 people there. But then I did the second thing that they asked me to do, which was tweet about it. And sure enough, there was a Military Times article that said that Turkey had issued arrest warrants for Dunford, Votel, and Clapper. And because I did that, and I tweeted that, they used that tweet after the meeting to say, hey, Turkey, since you're here, we got to talk about this. And so I feel really good about some of the things that I did. And I did have a person at the DNI that I directly contacted me and I spoke with and I communicated with, but I can't say the name of that person. But see, the DNI, the person that had Clapper's position, which I believe is Dan Coates right now, they run an agency that oversees 17 intelligence agencies. And Obama's DNI used me. And it was quite a wild ride. And I hope that President Trump understands that he needs to use his DNI to the best of his capability. And I know Clapper did things that ticked off a lot of people, and I know that what he said was wrong about the collection, that was wrong. And but there were people in that office, and I even think Mr. Clapper, I think they had the best interest of America. I believe the problem lies mainly with another agency, and hopefully that'll get cleaned up. But if I were President Trump, I would look at all the people connected to Mike Morrell. Have a great day.